No, that's wrong. Dixie Diamonds 215. Metz, 6:54 p.m. Piletre again sat on the divan next to his mother while Wilmot pulled up a floral print armchair close enough to the divan that it touched the small end table on the divan's right side before sitting with his knees nearly touching his son's. As you know, Papa, Piletre said, much of my rearing revolved around self-reliance and resilience, and I felt shame over having been blindsided by this American, both in his attack against me as well as in having used me for ill-gotten gain. As he had done moments earlier, Piletre again placed his left calf atop his right knee and pulled up his pants leg sufficiently to show his father the electronic tracking tag he wore. Looking his father in the eyes, he said, many vectors coincided today that led to both my arrest as well as the arrest of my assistant Joey Habanero by the DGSE, our subsequent release with tracking monitors, and me having spoken to the Australian ASIO concerning my former colleague at U of Q, Brency, after Brency was arrested on unrelated charges, before placing both feet on the floor. Vector, noun, mathematics, physics, a quantity having direction as well as magnitude, especially as determining the position of one point in space relative to another. I am prohibited from discussing why the DGSE detained Mademoiselle Habanero and me, he continued conversationally, but the conversations I had with the ASIO proved mutually beneficial, and at their urging I will be cooperating in an attempted murder case against Brency. Brency attacked me my last night in Brisbane, the night I learned firsthand that he had stolen classified information from me, he said, his voice low but filled with anger. Upon learning of the theft, I was livid and confronted him, but failed to see him as a physical threat. He attacked me physically and would have murdered me had I not received support from someone whose name I am currently forbidden to reveal. The person whom I must not name saved my life, but I felt great shame at having been deceived and waylaid in Brisbane. Pausing for breath, Piletre averted his eyes and said, as you know, my injuries were severe, and as I explained to Mama, I sustained brain damage from the assault. I wish to leave all of that behind, but because of today's circumstances, I am forced to face things from which I have hidden, and even now these events and my response to them bring me shame. You have always emphasized self-reliance, taking the bull by the horns and facing our adversities. The lessons that you have told me for as long as I can remember, you learned while in service in Indochina, which were greatly reinforced when you fought in the Battle of the Dien Bien Phu. I tried to be a man, he said, voice cracking. I thought I was a man, but I know now that I fall far short of what manhood is and that I am an embarrassment to both myself and to you, he concluded with a single racking sob. As Wilmot had listened to his son's soliloquy, he had sat straight, tall, and silent, as his face had remained expressionless. It was only when Piletre obliquely praised his father for his manhood that Wilmot gasped and looked away. Standing, he took 3 steps away from his son and wife, and speaking with his back turned towards them, he said, Pila, you are a great man who has done great things, and if I have made you feel inadequate, then I have failed utterly in my job of being your father as well as being any kind of role model, he said sotto voce with his head down and shoulders slumped. Excuse me one moment and I will be right back, he added as he walked into the kitchen, leaving his wife and son sitting closely enough to one another on the divan that Piletre's left side was pressed tightly against Magdalen's right.